Hi Capricorn, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your August 2026 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a 12 card spread, with each card representing a different house of the zodiac. Starting with your sign, Capricorn is the first house, all the way through to Sagittarius representing the 12th. As far as the decks being used this month, for the main tarot deck, we have the Hermetic Tarot, and for the Oracle deck, we'll be using the Wisdom of the Oracle. But we're actually going to start the reading off our roll nose astrology as we have in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, we have 3. So, third house energy for you guys is Pisces. Astrologically speaking, that area of the zodiac's getting pretty quiet now. We have the North Node moving out of there today into Aquarius. But yeah, third house in general points to communications, short journeys, and siblings. Alright, we have Libra. So for you guys, Libra is actually your 10th house of career and social status. And as far as the astrology there, Venus will actually be in Libra on the 6th of August. So that's one of the signs of rulership for Venus as well. So that could definitely be a positive transit there. And well, yeah, speaking of which, we have Venus here too. So, currently Venus is still in Virgo, which is your 9th house of philosophy, higher learning, and foreign affairs. But yeah, like we said, on the 6th, it'll move into your 10th house. So we'll keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. For the first house, which points to personality, self-awareness, and appearance, we have the Empress, daughter of the mighty ones. So yeah, to see the Empress come up for your energy, you could just be saying that you're feeling very open and receptive this month, right? Maybe you feel like opportunities will come your way a little bit more easily than usual. But there's primarily the openness to those opportunities that's really the driving factor. All right, for your second house energy, pointing to possession, self-worth, and finances, we have the 10 of Swords. So this is a Gemini energy here, and to see this, I feel like this is the same when it comes to your finances. Within your day-to-day routines, you might feel like you're just not going to get to the level that you would hope, right? So, for example, maybe your work lives might be a little bit more stressful than normal lately, and you feel like there's no tangible evidence that all the work that's being put in is actually going to pay off. But for the most part, that might be more of a short-term thing, because that's the one positive of the 10 of Swords, is usually it represents getting to the end of that cycle. Alright, so for your third house, which we saw represent with the dice as well, we have the 8 of Cups, Lord of Abandoned Success. So this is actually a Pisces energy here, which is your natural third house of communication. So to see this come up could just be pointing to the potential, at least, for you to walk away, where, like it says, Lord of Abandoned Success, right? So even if you do have a certain level of success, right, if you feel like the environment you're in just isn't healthy, right, or isn't supportive enough, you still might be willing to walk away from that. All right, so for your fourth house energy, which points to home roots and family, we have the Princess of Wands, Princess of the Shining Flame. So this is really the equivalent of the Page of Wands. So it could just be saying that within your home environment, you might start to feel inspired, right? Maybe on a more negative way of looking at it, could just be saying you might start to get a little fidgety, right? Because you're like, okay, I need to get out, I need to explore, I need to do something a little bit different to switch things up. For your fifth house energy, which points to romance, creativity, and children, we have the 5 of Wands, which in this deck is referred to as the Lord of Strife. So yeah, to see this here, especially that this is an actual Leo energy, and Leo is the natural ruler of the 5th house. So even though that's not your 5th house, it could just be saying that when it comes to your dating life, let's say, right, maybe people are a little bit too egotistical, so there's a lot of butting heads and, not really truly listening to the other side. If this is around creative projects as well, maybe you have people who are really nitpicky about everything that you do, so there's a little bit of a point of frustration there, to where you're like, okay, it's one thing to provide criticism, but if if there's nothing constructive from it, is it really necessary, right? And for some of you, given that this is a Leo energy, maybe this is just saying that this is how you're feeling as we progress to move through those first 10 degrees of Leo, and once that lifts, you might start to feel like things improve, which basically will mean right after the Aquarius full moon, for the most part, which will be on the 29th. All right, so for your sixth house energy, which points to health, work, and daily routines, we have the Eight of Wands, Lord of Swiftness. So yeah, so the one positive there, right, is like I said, if you're stuck around finances, right, and what moves to make or what moves you should have made back then, but you can't do it now. Whatever the case may be, to see the Eight of Wands come up here in your sixth house energy says that things can get back on track and flowing in a much more productive way soon. All right, so for your seventh house energy, your partnerships, contracts, or relationships, we have the Ten of Wands, which is the Lord of Oppression. So yeah, so to see this here could just be saying that, maybe you're being asked to not put a lot of energy toward one-to-one connections this month, especially in a romantic sense, right? Could just be saying that, there's plenty of time for that, but if the energy just feels a little bit off and overwhelming in the moment, then it might just be best to drop it in the short term and wait for the energies to ride out. All right, so for your eighth house, which points to death, rebirth, intimacy, and investments, we have the Three of Cups, which is the Lord of Abundance in this deck. So yeah, for some of you, this could just be saying that maybe investments you've made in the past, you'll start to see them paying off this month. For others of you, this could just be saying that, realistically, this can be related to romance as well. It seems a little less likely, but could just be saying in that regard, maybe you feel like there's a lot of energy overflowing when it comes to that. But yeah, for the most part, getting a little bit more of a financial feel with this, right? And just more of wanting something that sparks that passion within you, something that you feel emotionally connected to that makes you want to continue to do it. That could be what you're really looking at with that. So for your ninth house energy, we have the universe. And this deck referred to as the Great One of the Night of Time. So really what I'm getting with this more than anything is pointing to that nodal shift that I mentioned earlier, which is, it's going to be moving pretty much. I'm recording this the day that it's shifting, but I think it's going to be shifting later tonight. But basically, what's going to be happening there is the nodes be moving from Pisces, Virgo to Aquarius and Leo. So for you guys, realistically, maybe Leo energy isn't the most philosophical energy for you guys, but it's an eighth house energy, right? So it could just be one of those things where you could be releasing some stuff that you'd held on to for a long time, or maybe things that started to burden you, right? And that could be why we're seeing some of these heavier energies popping up. And then to have your north node moving into Aquarius, that could actually help you when it comes to your self-worth, when it comes to even your financial status, things along those lines there. So, it's not going to be instant, but it could just be saying that maybe lessons you learned as the nodal axis was moving through Pisces, Virgo, you're able to carry them with you and improve on things with this next transit. So for your 10th house energy, which points to career and social status, we have Temperance. So this is actually a major arcana card for Sagittarius, but if you actually look at the artwork, right, we see it's like the Sagittarius energy is the intermediary between Capricorn, your sign, and then we see Scorpio on the other side. So it could just be saying that maybe that's ultimately what you would need to do to achieve that ultimate success, right, is to combine forces somewhere. So whether it be with a single person or an organization, right, I feel like this is saying that that's going to be the best way to maximize your potential at this time. All right. In the 11th house, which points to friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes, we have the Lovers. So this is a Gemini energy here, which for you guys is your 6th house. So really what this could be saying is that, children of the voice divine, right? Could just be saying that maybe when you interact with your groups, you might feel a deeper connection there, right? So even if things look a little out of whack and haywire when it comes to your romantic lives, right? This could just be saying that your friendships really come through for you. And for some of you, a much more percentage, but it could just be saying that even, maybe there's someone who you'd considered a friend up to this point, but now maybe the romantic feelings are starting to creep in. Again, like I said, it seems a little less likely, but certainly possible. And for your 12th house energy, which points to spirituality, blind spots, mental health, we have the 2 of Wands. So Aries energy here, which for you guys is your 4th house, but seeing this here, I feel like this is saying that there's just a passion on your part to have a fresh start, right? To get out of these bogged down energies with the 8 of Cups and the 10 of Swords, the 10 of Wands, right? I feel like this is just saying that this is your determination to get out of that cycle into something more comfortable. All right, at the bottom of the deck, we have the Ace of Cups. So maybe that's ultimately what it is for some of you, right? Like you have this love flowing through you, and there's ways you want to express it, right? Maybe not just romantically, but through creative projects, through your careers, right? So that could be what's at the root of you looking at all these things and feeling blocked in certain parts, but then ready to go in others. That's what I'm seeing with that. And the Ace energies, keep in mind, they're always just representative of an idea, right? So it would still require you to take action to actually see this play out. But at the very least, this is saying that this is something that's on your mind and something you would like to put more energy and focus on. All right, lastly, we'll pull an oracle card. So I'm actually going to give this a few shuffles, then we'll cut the deck and pull a card. And this is the Wisdom Oracle. All right, let me take this, get this out of the way, and we'll see what you got. All right, we have community. There's the artwork, and the number is 8. So we'll see what it has to say. All right, essential meanings says belonging, being seen and understood by others, like-minded connections, a sense of family and friendship, knowing your place in the world. So yes, that does seem to point to the Lover's energy we see in the 11th house. We'll see what else it has to say. The Oracle's message says this card signals a new affiliation with a group. Humans are social creatures, and we need to know we are useful to our families and communities. In a community, everyone has an important function and feels I matter. Membership in the group provides a sense of belonging, of kinship, and of purpose that comes from working together for the greater fulfillment of all. Perhaps you are a part of a spiritual community or an artistic one. Perhaps you are in a learning community where you share your love of education. Regardless of its form or focus, your community brings you joy. You will be inspired by it and want to contribute to it. Your contribution may be as small as showing up or as large as becoming its leader. No matter your position in the group, your presence is needed. So definitely a strong message there. And to me, it points to what we were seeing with the temperance energy as well, right? And even the lovers in the 11th house. So hopefully that resonated with you guys. All right. And for the relationship message, it says you're discovering the essential qualities that you share with another, and perhaps also those you don't share. There are times when you follow and the other person leads, and times when you lead and the other follows. The appearance of this card points to the importance of learning the proper dance between you and another. Accepting the truth that everyone has flaws is part of that dance. Yet you are also being asked to be aware of the dynamics that you don't want to repeat. You're in the perfect place to make changes in order to experience the best version of who you can be together. So that's an interesting message there as far as when we look at those 5th house energies and the 7th house energies, right? The 5 of Wands, the 10 of Wands. those look like some difficult energies to ride out. So I could just be saying that, this is one of those times where you just have to feel out how things are going to play out, right? And just keep an open mind as you go through those phases. The prosperity message says, whenever you're in a community of like minded others, there is a powerful opportunity to reap great abundance. It's essential to ask, what can I contribute, rather than what can I get from this? Figure out a need and look to fill it. Something meaningful will manifest. Even if what manifests is small, it is a sign that the doors of opportunities will swing open wider. There is also another meaning to this card to consider. Don't try to be all things to all people. Choose your role and be true to it, and serve from a sense of authenticity. There is no greater feeling of accomplishment than knowing you have purpose. So yeah, so that message definitely seemed to embrace the Empress energy for sure, right? Which is again, rather than being overly active and chasing things down, I feel like this is saying, just trying to be a little bit more open-minded, right? And letting opportunity come your way. That could be the key for you guys this month. But yeah, hopefully that resonated for you guys, and we'll wrap up there. All right, bye.